And we are just about to get started with this panel. So thank you for showing up. This is awesome. You guys have a really good energy and I'm digging that. So let me just introduce us and get us started. I am Lotus Lane, your industry relations advocate for Free Speech Coalition. And this is Life as a Sex Worker series, What I Wish I Would Have Known, part 2. Post-pandemic, and this is presented by Chatterbait, so thank you to them. We'll go around and have our lovely panelists introduce themselves. We'll start with Avery Jane.
Hi, I'm Avery Jane. I am based out of Los Angeles. When did I start? It was like November of 2018. It was a few months before the pandemic, so I started at a weird time, I guess, where content creation was becoming a thing, and then the pandemic hit and it became a thing, and just, all the chaos and funsies.
Love it. Okay, just to clarify, did you mean 2018, or do you mean 2019, the year right before pandemic started?
I thought pandemic started in 2000?
We're losing track of time, I know.
How does it
make sense? It's called COVID-19 because it started in October 2019 over China.
It's hard to keep track, but
maybe 19. Yeah, then it's 19.
Was it basically the fall right before the winter of okay, yeah, then 19, girl. I got you. 19. I got you.
Thank you.
Well, we're glad you're here. And then we also have Zarella Skies.
Hi, I'm Zarella Skies. I started, honestly, I signed exactly when that pandemic hit. So as soon as it hit and I wasn't getting the work that I thought I was going to get, I wasn't. And I was told it's because of the pandemic. There's no one shooting. And so I was like, what do you mean? It was hard for me to take it in. So I really wanted to work super bad, but I couldn't because it wasn't an option.
Yeah, I feel you. And next we have Vinny O'Neill.
Hi there, I am Vinny O'Neill. I'm a BHM talent based out of Las Vegas. I started AVN 2019, which I wasn't on the inside then. I filmed my first scenes then, so I had to actually attend as just as a regular general admission and things like that. And yeah, I went into that weekend, and we'll get into this more when we're talking about things. I went into that weekend assuming it was going to be a one-time thing, and now here I am, and it's my full-time job.
Hey, love to hear it. And last but not least, we have Leo Weiss over here.
Hi, everyone. So I got into the industry. Actually, I dipped my toes into it a couple of years ago with some very, very amateur stuff that probably doesn't exist anywhere. But I officially got into this probably about last December, mid pandemic. But I had been planning to get into this industry for a couple of years. I'd been figuring it out, saving the money and trying to work my way through. It just so happened that when I made the move, a pandemic happened a month later. So, it's been kind of interesting timing on that one.
Yeah, I bet. So let's get into it. One of the things that people always want to know, especially for new people, is what would make you even want to get in this industry? What were your thoughts about what you thought you would get out of this industry when you joined? And a little bit of how has that changed? Yeah. Who wants to speak on that first? What was your initial thoughts getting in the industry, and why did you decide this is for me?
I guess I'll go. So if you go back to fall of 2018, I have a friend who runs solo ManyVids, solo Snapchat, things like that. She's not industry. I kind of call her industry adjacent because she doesn't go out and work with other talent or attend industry events. And she wanted to do a blowjob video for her fans. And so I'm sitting there holding her phone for 3 minutes doing a POV, and I had fun with it. And I was someone I watched a lot of porn. I interacted with my favorite stars on social media, polite, respectful, bought their content. And so I'm like, I like doing this. So I talked to a model that I was friendly with, Little Mina, who's since retired from the industry. And that's who I set up with to work with at
She was one of the first people I met when I first started.
Little Mina?
Yes. So
Yeah, she's great. And
shout out
so
to her.
that was my first official scene in the industry. I filmed something for her many vids. Unfortunately, I don't own it, so I can't sell it. And she's not in the business anymore, so I can't like tell fans where to find the scene anymore. I in the time between filming that video in the fall of 2018 and January 2019, I did my research, learned all the lingo, what content trade was, and again, I went into AVN 2019 assuming it was going to be a one-time thing, and it's now a full-time career. As far as how my opinion changed, it's a lot more work than you think it is. A lot for
yes.
for
let's,
about
let's leave it at that because you're so right. We'll get into that a lot.
Yeah, a lot more work.
Right. Yeah. So anyone else, what were your initial thoughts on getting into the industry, and why did you decide to make that jump? Why was now the time?
So for me, I had been a sex worker for a few years before porn. I'd kind of done a little bit of webcamming, this and that, and stripping. And I don't know, I just met one of the girls at the strip club and she did porn. And I was like, tell me about it. And, she would tell me all these fun stories. And I was like, dude, why not? Like, I already had a pretty adventurous sex life to begin with. I'd hang out in the kink scenes and stuff. And so I was like, dude, I do this all the time for fun. Why not just make money? And so I started doing that. And, eventually I started making enough money that I was able to quit my 9 to 5. And I was like, this is what I want to do full time. And I don't know. I guess my opinions, I don't know if my opinions have changed on anything. I think I've just learned more about how the industry works, like as a business. It's not just, oh, let me jump in and like make quick, easy money. Like there's a lot to learn. So I've learned a lot more on it.
Good. That's good to hear. And Zarella, let's hear from you. Why did you decide to get in the industry? Why was now the time?
Well, as a youngin, like when I was a little kid, not like little kids, but like I was always intrigued by documentaries itself about the industry. So when I was of age and then, the pandemic hit, I was already intrigued by the vibes, the presence, the whole shebang of the industry. And so I had really high, not expectations, I would say, but really high, like, motive. I don't know how to word it, like motive, like
ideas,
hopes, like, yeah, like that. So like I was thinking about all these things, and then when I got inside, when I signed with someone, and then the pandemic hit, it really held me back, and I had to realize that I had to have a lot more patience with everything going on, and I had to tell myself that it's not me, it's an all area thing, and I'm not the only person dealing with it. So I had to realize that I'm not the only one affected by the whole pandemic era, and I wasn't the only one that wasn't shooting. So nothing for me changed afterwards. I still full blown feel the same way. I love everything. And yeah, I hope I answered it correctly.
No, yeah, totally. What I'm hearing from this is you had a lot of expectations with the industry is definitely meeting, but then there's realities that none of us were expecting that you just had to deal with and cope with. And that's good that you didn't take those things personally, because I know sometimes as a new person without a lot of information, you can internalize a lot of the non-shooting times as like a personal effect against yourself. But yes, let's hear from Leo. You said that you had kind of dabbled earlier. So right. What made this time the time?
Well, so, I mean, in my case, so there's not a lot of Asian male talents, and there's not a lot of Asian representation in Western media that's like very positive, masculine, sexual, right? So when I said I started this a couple of years ago, it's like, the field has been empty for years and years and years. So seeing that, kind of being like, you know what, sometimes you got to be the change you want to see in the world. Someone needs to step up and be that person. So, it's kind of like, well, no one else is raising their hand to do it. Might as well be the one to step up and do this thing. And before I got into this industry, I was already working in entertainment of some sort. I was working in the video game industry. So I kind of already knew that like there is a marketing, monetization, and commoditization of entertainment. and adult entertainment is no different. So my view of this before even getting in was always that entertainment is a product that could be commercialized and monetized to the general public. Adult entertainment is no different. And you know what? Why not step into this industry, be the change I want to see, and have my little piece of trying to make something to represent what I believe, and at the same time, monetize it, because, well, we all got bills we want to pay, and earning potential is much higher here than it was as a corporate, employee waiting to climb the ladder, right? So
I feel that 100%. Everything you said of be the change you want to see, and not wanting to like climb that corporate ladder, because there's sometimes not even steps to lead the way up. So
and you have no control over that corporate ladder, because it's not on you, it's on
Yeah.
other people if you get to go up, right?
That's
So
true.
so a lot of this was just me taking control of my life and putting it in my own hands, really.
I love that. I love that. Yes,
But
Vinny?
I want to just build on what Leo was saying. He's doing it from the racial side, the positive and especially sexually positive representation of Asian males within industry. And that's what I'm trying to do on the BHM side. And not a lot of people even know what BHM is.
Yeah,
It's just
please
a masculine.
explain what that term is for us.
It's just the masculine version of BBW. It stands for big handsome man. Um, I'm certainly not the first BHM in this industry, not by a long shot. But if you historically look at other BHMs that are in the industry, they generally carve out a niche of pig, fat, humiliation, degradation. They're there as an object of ridicule.
I hear you.
And I try to be a talent who happens to be a BHM, not a BHM who happens to be a talent.
I hear you. It's almost the unfortunate way of the way midgets and small people were marketed back in the day, is like this joke. And I really love how nowadays we're taking those former stereotypes of what it used to mean to be like an Asian male, a big handsome man, a Black woman, and it's more of an empowering thing, putting it out there for ourselves, as opposed to like someone telling you act goofy or be this certain way. So I love hearing that. Thank you for bringing diversity to the industry. So I want to know, off the top of your head, the first thing that you wish you would have known about getting into this industry that like hit you and smacked you in the face, where you're like, damn, if I would have just known this, as far as like your big challenge, what would that be? Zarel, I see you shaking your head.
Well, for me coming in, even outside, I always have like really good like emotions towards people. Like I always think the best of everyone. So coming in, I really wish I knew that not everyone is going to be all nice and everything to you, and some people are going to literally act like they're your friend, and then they're really not, and they're really just fake. So I really wish coming into the industry I knew not to trust as easily, because I trust people too easily, because I want to see the best in everyone. Like I think everyone has a good side to them, and I just give people chance after chance. But I really wish I knew not to do that, because it would have saved me a lot of trouble.
Amen to that, because I definitely fell into that category too in my early days, but you know now. So anyone else, what's the first thing that came to your mind when you're like, damn, I really wish I would have known this when I first started?
Mine is kind of in a similar vein from what I want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Zarella?
Yeah.
Okay. Of what she said, and it's the heckler's veto. And the heckler's veto is, whether it's working for a studio, working with talent, it's, oh no, I can't work with you because my fans may not like it. And my philosophy personally from the start is, I do what I want, the fans will follow.
Mhm.
And it's so that it should have been obvious. If you go and look at a lot of mainstream porn, there's a reason why all the talent kind of looks the same. They have this is their box, and they stay inside of it. And so it's the community, again, both from a studio side and a talent side, allowing customers, a vocal minority of customers, to say, I don't like that, and they cater to that. I'm like, why are we catering to hate? Why are we catering to people? Like, don't do that. Like say, hey, if you're going to sit here and complain that I work with someone based on their race or their body type, or their ethnicity, or whatever it is, we should be telling those fans, I don't want you. That's racist, that's bigoted, whatever it is. The stigma for crossover performers, all of that. It's like, no, just get that out of the industry. And that's what I'm working on personally.
Here. I agree with that. They should be honored that you are letting them into your sex life, not dictating your sex life for you. But I digress. Avery, Leo, what would you say was the first thing that came to your mind as far as what you probably wish you would have known when you first started?
I wish I would have known the implications of becoming a public figure of sorts. I never got into it thinking like, oh my God, people are gonna know who I am and I'm gonna have a fan base. And so now that I have a fan base and have like fans, I'm like, what is this? So I wish I just knew like how intense it would be, how intense the fans would be, you know, how many messages you're getting, how many people are hitting you up. Like, it's a lot, you know, and I'm kind of introverted. I'm wild and I'm fun, but I'm pretty low key. And so yeah, I just wish I knew those implications so I could have prepared.
And would you say now, do you have a way of dealing with that? Because that is a very major part, especially for us, you know, feminine performers, to get inundated by so many messages and the content of the messages. So do you have like a self-care way of managing that for yourself?
Honestly, I'm getting there. It was a lot of freaking out and, you know, being overwhelmed at first, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh, the solution is simple. I'm just gonna do what I want when I want. That includes I'm gonna answer messages when I want on my own time. You might get a, you know, 2 weeks later, hey, sorry, but I'm getting to it. Or a lot of messages have to go unanswered, and I just can't, you know, feel bad about that.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you have that kind of healthy balance for yourself. And Leo, what was the first thing that came to your head when you were like, damn, I really wish I would have known this first?
It's not so much something I wish I would have known. It's just something I underestimated, which was the amount of work that I'd be doing sitting at the computer. Because, you know, one of the things I thought getting into this was like, oh, I'm going to leave my office job where I sit at a computer all day. And then now I sit at home at the computer all day long, even longer than I did at the office job, because you're never really quite done doing something here, you know? And especially I'm a one-man operation. So it's like all the editing, you know, everything is just, I'm here even longer now at my desk than I was before when I was stuck in a corporate office. At least then I had people to talk to. I'm just like stuck alone in my studio all day at times, right? So it was something I knew was gonna, you know, I knew I had to work and all that stuff going in. I just underestimated how much actually goes into doing all of this. And then the other one on top of it is kind of, you know, piggybacking what Avery was talking about is like fans. I didn't expect that, right? Like I figured most male talent just sort of like disappears into the crowd. You know what I mean? Like we're an accessory to the scene. We're not actually the thing. But like people hit my inbox up, and luckily for the most part, you know, like 95% of it is really, really nice messages and such. But occasionally I just wake up with some random, you know, race fueled hate message that's just like, well, that's one hell of a way to start my day right there. Like, but
I mean, that's interesting. It kind of both of you made me realize that you have to have a very strong self-care regimen, game plan for how to deal with those kinds of really jarring moments that hit you out of the blue, whether it's some really messed up messages coming from DMs or emails, or maybe it's constant harassment, or maybe it's even like someone just effed you over and you thought they were an industry friend. What have you personally realized is like one of the better self-care things that you have implemented as a new person that maybe you didn't do as much in your previous work life, or maybe you didn't rely on as heavily, but you know now the way the industry demands so much of you and your time and your energy? What is something that you think is a helpful self-care thing that you do? It could be anything. Doesn't have to be like super spiritual, esoteric. It's what feels good for you.
I guess, I mean, for me, because, you know, like I said, because I'm doing this to sort of like for Asian male representation. So when I do get these hate messages that are very racist, like, you know, completely because I'm Asian, right? You would think that would upset me, but it really just motivates me more because it lets me know that what I'm doing is exactly what I was setting out to do, which is, you know, counteract these sort of like stereotypes, messaging, things like that. So it's jarring to read those things first thing in the morning. You know, I haven't even gotten the cold out my eye yet, and I'm sitting there reading like horrible messages. But then like, you know, it's a reminder that I'm on the right path, because apparently what I'm doing is triggering these people, and that's kind of what the goal was to break the stereotypes, break the mold, and let these people know that like, hey, like I'm doing it because you guys exist, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of, so for me it's, you know, it's kind of channeling that into a more positive motivation outlook, I guess.
That's awesome. Yeah. Instead of getting angered by it, you're like motivated to be like, yeah, I'm badass. I'm fucking you guys up. I'm making a stand. That's cool. I love it. Anyone else? What has been like a very helpful self-care tactic that you've relied on more now, realizing the way the industry is hitting you?
I personally, since I'm pretty sensitive, I have built up thick skin over time because I know this industry is pretty cutthroat. Sometimes it can be cutthroat. And I've realized I just need to let it go. Like, I just need to forget about it. Don't take it personal. Because when I realize I take it personal, I just end up being in emotions for no reason. And I'm just sad and overthinking about things that I don't need to be overthinking about. So for myself, I just tell myself, let it go. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. Drop it and move on. Because if I stay stuck in the back, I'm never going to move forward. So I just drop it. Even if it hurts me, I'm just like, you know.
That's really smart. That's the same way I deal with online trolls. I like, don't even engage, just move on. Don't take it personal. But yeah. Any Vinny and Avery, what are your tactics?
For myself, I laugh. So anytime I see a hateful message or a hateful comment, I laugh at it, and that's what helps it not have that negative impact on me. It helps take the sting out of it, because I look at that message and, oh, you don't like someone who's overweight having sex with this person that you're a fan of? Well, guess what? Ha ha ha! You're just jealous. That's how I deal with it, or how I cope with it. And I'll often take it a step further. If someone tells me not to do something, to not work, because I do a lot of work with trans talent. Again, everything that I do is about inclusion and acceptance. And so if someone says they don't like that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do it again. If your hate is going to fuel my motivation to do it more, and that's how I keep my sanity, and how I keep the haters and the trolls from bothering me.
Love that tactic. And Miss Avery, what do you do for you?
One thing that I do is I'm very adamant about making sure that I have a life outside of the industry, because I know it can be very overwhelming and people can get very, very like sucked into it, and it becomes your whole life. So I make it a point to like hang out with my non-porn friends and have conversations not about porn, and let someone else bitch about their work for once, or have fresh eyes to like tell my funny stories too, and they're like, what the fuck, so I just make sure to like keep up my like my hobbies and the fun things I like to do with my friends, and just friends from before the industry.
I love that. That's so smart and so true and so real. I also have a group of outside of the industry friends that keep me grounded. And I think sometimes as new people, we underestimate the importance of that. Because I know when I first started, I was like, feet to the ground. I'm doing every type of sex work possible. I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And I almost was very close to burning myself out. So yeah, I think it's important to have that other outlet that's not just sex, 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 porn, porn, porn. Even though we love sex, 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 and porn, porn, porn.
We love it, but it's important.
So, in this industry, what has been something that has been somewhat of a big surprise to you that you had no idea to be aware of? You didn't think about this, but it was like, oh, okay, now this is on my radar. Whether it be fan platforms or a way of monetizing something, or whether it be certain people or events or things to look out for? What's been one of the biggest surprises? It could be pleasant, it could be unpleasant. It's up to you to decide what that surprise was. Many surprises happen along the way, but yeah, what was something that you were like, whoa, I didn't expect that?
I think the one that hit all of us was the credit card payment processing and Pornhub thing, because that came out of nowhere, and I don't think any of us saw that coming.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like over the years, Pornhub has built itself up to be such a stable of like a pillar, right, for the community and so forth. So I think a lot of people just expected to be like, oh, there's at least one major company we can always kind of like rely on, and then that kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone's kind of still recovering from it, because that was a big hit to everybody. So to me, I'm like that came out of nowhere at the worst time possible, and I don't think anyone's fully truly recovered from what had happened there, really,
Yeah, one of the things I noticed is it just scattered everyone's reach. Like instead of having that one central location where it was good, now we kind of have to scatter a lot more. Same thing with the OF thing, like we're in that one major platform and now we're kind of scattered a bit trying to make it work. So yeah. Avery, what do you have to say maybe was like a big surprise to you?
It was surprising to me how small the industry is. I never really was like a big porn watcher, so I didn't like know a lot of people. And now that I'm in the industry, I'm like, oh, it's like all the same people everywhere. Like everyone knows each other, everyone's working with each other. It's the same like people that you're seeing here. And so I was like, okay, like it's for as big as it is, it's still a very small industry.
Yeah, you're right about that. We all tend to know someone that knows each other.
Yeah.
And Zarella and Vinny, what has been your major surprise in the industry?
Well, if she's still thinking, for me, it was the acceptance. And you're never going to have universal acceptance in anything that you do. But someone who's bullied when I was a kid, that I was the outcast. I didn't fit in anywhere in the world. And that week of AVN in 2019, when I first got in the business, my first experience was we have a Triple X karaoke here in town, a porn star karaoke that they do once a month, and they always hold it in January, the week of AVN. And I went there and just introduced myself to people, handed out my business card, and there was none of this. Oh, who are you? Oh no, get out of here. It was just, oh, nice to meet you. Hey, welcome to the industry. And then I went one day to the actual AVN and walked the floor at the expo again, same thing, handing out my business card, and it was just, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Oh yeah, let's work together. I'm like, wait, what? Like, it's supposed to be more difficult than this. But I think it was just the manner in which I approached it on a professional level, that acceptance there that week is what gave me the motivation to stick with this. And I'm glad that I did.
It's really beautiful to hear. I agree. This industry, out of all the different jobs that I had before, I felt most accepted by this wonderful group of sexual pervs. Zarella, what's been a big surprise for you?
Well, honestly, I kind of don't know how to answer this because I'm always surprised by everything all the time. Like anytime I get asked for like, are you available for this shoot? I'm surprised I even got offered that. So I'm always surprised by everything. But I guess maybe going in, I'm kind of surprised about how much drama there is. Like I was thinking coming in, oh, we're grown, full adults. This isn't going to be high school. We come in and you go on Twitter, there's always something going on. Every time you're on Twitter, there's always someone doing something. There's like, what, like, how old are you and you're doing this? Like, what are you, you're like, in all reality, fans do not care about that. They just want to see you naked. And there we go, the drama. And it's just like, what's going on? Aren't we supposed to be grown up? What are you doing? No, stop tweeting that. Just put your phone down. Go drink something. I don't know. Like I guess I was kind of taken back by the drama that happens. Like be so petty and just like just shut up. Just shut up.
You're so hilarious and you're so right. The industry on Twitter can be very dramatic. I remember underestimating how dramatic Twitter was in my first time being on Twitter as a new performer. And I said something really funny to one of my favorite porn stars at the time, like, oh, you're better than Beyonce, and that bitch blocked me. So you better mind your P's and Q's on Twitter and know how to talk to people, because you could say the wrong thing.
They be sensitive. No reason.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, Twitter drama is very real. I would encourage everyone to just like stay out of it. Creep, it's entertaining when it is entertaining, but just try to stay out of it.
I try to take the attitude of your drama doesn't pay my bills. If you have a beef with someone, that doesn't mean I'm not going to work with them, because that's got nothing to do with me.
Right. I think everyone should practice the art of tweeting and deleting. Like, type your shit out, get that thought out, and then fucking delete it.
Yeah, or even
all the time.
Draft. I save drafts, so sometimes I can go back and look at it and just like
yes,
in that anger one more time and just be like, yes, motherfucker, I said this, I just didn't send it, okay?
Some serious self-reflection happens in the drafts.
Yes. Yeah. I love that advice, Avery. That's very, very good advice. Sometimes you may even realize that your anger was misguided or maybe too soon, and that person is going to respond to you 2 days later. They were just busy or something.
Oh, I've had times where I've like freaked out and tweeted some shit and then like took a second and was like, let me delete it. And then I find out that like I was completely in the wrong and like had the wrong idea about a thing. It was like, oh, girl, chill.
Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. Has there been a time where you realize now, like, I kind of made a mistake, I fucked that up, and you know, we come in not knowing everything in this industry. So has there been like a moment where you're like, damn, I wish I could have done this a little bit better? Whether interactions with someone, or maybe the way you started your career, or maybe, you know, certain trades or anything like that, a scene.
I wish I would have been more on it with paperwork from the jump, from the get-go.
Paperwork in terms of with your content trades?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just getting paperwork done for any shoots that I'm doing, organizing my stuff, organizing the stuff that we now are all getting screwed over with.
Yeah. Nowadays, we're all going to have to go back and have like extreme, like regimented paperwork for everything, which, you know, in the long run isn't a bad thing, but in the middle run where we're all at right now, it's kind of a clusterfuck.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for sure. And it's just frustrating when it's, you know, your money.
For sure. So yeah.
For me, it was not being true to who I was in the beginning. When I first started doing this, I assumed no one wants to see me. They're only going to be interested in the people that I'm working with. But then I started getting fans reaching out to me. No, show your body more. Don't just highlight the person you're filming with. And I hurt myself financially by not marketing myself more to people who like BHMs. Now that I've been in the business for a while, a very significant portion of my fan base are chub chasers from the gay and bi community. I don't happen to be gay
what was
bi.
the word you said there? What?
Chub chasers, chubbies.
Chubbies. Okay.
Yeah, chubby chasers. Well, the chub is a chub and bear are the two terms that my gay and bi fans use a lot.
I mean, I love chubs. I love chub.
Yeah, and I have so many fans, like their Twitter, I love chub. It's literally right in their name. So I wish I had the self-confidence when I first started to almost steer into that skid, and now I'm actually just finally getting around to catering specifically to those fans, filming solo content for those fans, and it's extremely beneficial. I'm like, oh, hey, this is good money that I'm doing here. Why didn't I do this earlier? So that's what I would say to almost anyone is just don't ignore who you are. Be proud of it, and it's definitely beneficial in terms of the finances. That's for certain.
That's good. That's good to hear, because oftentimes what many new people hear if they don't fit a certain look is you're not marketable. We can't make money with this. And the wonderful thing about independent content trade is we're proving all of that wrong. You know, we are making our own individual money. So there is market out there that wants the BHM stuff, that wants, you know, Asian male stuff, Black women stuff. So yeah. um between the two of you, what would you say was something where you're like, okay, I could have done this better and now I know, and might have made a misstep in the past?
I mean, that's I can't. Nothing really pops out, like jumps out immediately as like, oh, I really wish I would have done this differently or whatnot. Because, like I said, I'd been planning this. You know, I've been planning to get into this for a couple years, so I'd already kind of laid my foundation, the blueprint, my idea of what I was trying to do. So I carried it out mostly how I imagined it. That's kind of why I'm like, there's nothing really that jumps out to me to be like, oh, I wish I would have done it this way or that way. I think the one thing is that when I started out, I didn't think there'd be so much of a, how do I put it? I didn't think there'd be so much of a market for me per se. So I was trying to build a platform more for just Asian males in general. And it turns out that no, people like me, individual, right? So I think, so if anything, I probably wish I would have focused more on like marketing myself and not this brand that was supposed to be something bigger, and just focus on me, the individual at first, because again, I underestimated the amount of people who would be into me, specifically me, right? So I think that might probably be the one thing, like, but that's not a major concern. That's not a major issue in my career. It's just if I could have gone back, I would have done it a little bit differently, but you know.
One thing I will say is you guys are like literally touching me in the feels, because what I'm getting as a central theme is you all realize how much people really like you as an individual once you started doing this. Like from realizing how many fans you're getting, how many like individual personal requests you're getting, and how much money you're making. And I think that's really beautiful, because one of the things that I realized that the porn industry does that the mainstream TV media industry doesn't always do is it gives room for representation where it may not exist, for certain types of people to be seen as desirable, to be seen as sexual, to be seen as hot and badass. And I think that's what you are all doing as new performers for your audience that you're catering to, that likes you. So I just so touched, because that's so beautiful. And I think that that's one of the great things about our industry and sex in general. But yes, I haven't forgot about you, Zarella. You've had time to think. So what is something you're like, dang, I wish I could have just done this a little bit better. If I would have known, you know, I'll do this kind of thing, you know, just something.
Well, as an overthinker, I overthink about literally everything all the time. Even if someone tells me, oh, you're fine, I'm gonna overthink that answer as well. So something I wish I had, I had the word for it earlier. I wish I could push myself more, because sometimes due to the fact that I overthink everything, I am sometimes too scared to message someone to push myself further into the pool, like put myself out there. I get scared of like, if I hit them up, what if they're like, I don't want to work with her, she's weird, like she just looks weird or something like that. So I'm always like, I always wish I could push myself and just be like, I'll just do it, you know, like YOLO, like just don't be afraid to do it, because I do live my life off of, you know, YOLO, you only live once, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm always like, I don't want to be that weirdo that they don't want to work with or anything like that. So I'm always like cautious, I guess you can say. I'm very cautious and stuff like that. So I wish I could just get over that wall and just not be afraid to do what I want to do.
I hear you. I would say that your cautious is probably keeping you safe. And you are kind of YOLOing already. You're like here, you're doing it, you're like making a name for yourself. You took a big leap. And that says something about, you know, your adventurous self, that you are actually already embracing it. So I think that's a good thing. Awesome. So since you guys know now that you have people kind of looking up to you, you have fans, you potentially even have young BHMs, young little Avery Janes, young other Asian male talent, you know, saying like, hey, I could be the leading man? Like, what would you say to the people that look up to you, the individual you, performer, talent, creative character that you are? What would you say to them about if they wanted to start the same path?
I would say for me, make sure that you are okay with what you're doing. Like double check that. Do when you want to do something, research it and make sure that you actually want to do with it and know the cautions that can come with it. Like coming into this industry, a lot of people forget like once your image is out there, it's out there forever. There's no going back. And that stuff that you do could possibly be sent to your family. And you have to really put that in your mind and be like, what am I going to do when this happens? So you really have to, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to make a quick buck in and out. I'm going to flash whatever. No, you really have to think about everything following through after that. People are going to see that. And some people get sad and they want to leave. And it's like, there's no going back. Like you have to accept that. And people think it's just all fun and games. And it's not like that. This is a business.
Yeah. And you take a lot on your shoulders in this business. You're so right. Anyone else speaking to their younger fans?
Yeah, it's actually a question that I go over with my fans quite frequently. I have a lot of VHM fans reach out to me like, "Hey, how can I get in the business?" And I actually offer Zoom consultations with them, like, "Hey, pay me for my time, and I'll sit down with you, and I'll go over step by step. This is how I did it. This is what," and impart on them the knowledge that I learned. And what I was saying previously is be true to yourself, because that's always a question when other BHMs are talking to me about their interest in doing what I do, is they're all afraid of showing their bodies on camera. And I'm like, you can't do that. Just you can't, because I made that mistake too. Again, I tried and failed to hide my body on camera. So if you learn from my mistake and embrace who you are 100%, flaws and all, you'll have more confidence and it'll reflect in your work and you'll produce a better quality product if you're not afraid of who you are.
So right, so right. We can sense that insecurity coming through the screen, or on the upside, we can sense that confidence too. And that's so attractive. So yeah, Avery, Leo, what would you say to the people looking up specifically to you and your character and who you are if they want to join the industry?
I mean, I would tell my fans to, if they're gonna do it, to just be themselves, and do whatever makes them feel sexy and confident and comfortable. Because if you're doing stuff you don't want to do, you're gonna see that on camera. People are gonna see that. It's gonna be weird. But also, I would probably echo what Zarella said, and like, if you're gonna do it, you have to be about it. Like you have to be ready for everything that comes next. Because what if you decide in a year that you don't like it? Now you're gonna have to go find a job. There's videos of you all over the internet. You're gonna try to find a job. Your family will receive pictures and videos. You will get harassed. Like shit will happen. So you just have to make sure you're ready for it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, all I can really do is piggyback off everyone else, because they kind of just said that's like the best stuff, is that this is a business. This is a business. So first things first, like you got to come into this knowing that this is a business, right? Like, if you're going into this because you like sex, that's like being a chef and opening a restaurant because you like to eat food. It's a horrible thing if you just like to eat food. You know what I mean? Because there's way more work than the actual thing that you guys see on camera. That's like 5% of our actual like work, right? So that would be the advice I would tell people, is like, if you're going to go into this, remember, this is a business. This is your business and you're responsible for this business. I've had some friends from, like that I grew up with, that they discovered what I was doing. They've reached out to me to be like, hey, how do I get in? And, the first thing I tell them is, look, if you're asking how do you get into this industry, you're not ready to get into this industry, because that's baby step one. And if you can't figure out that part, the rest is going to be really, really difficult too. Yeah. Right.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, that's kind of the way that's kind of what it is. It's just a constant reminder, like, this is a business. This isn't just fun and games. If you want to just have fun and games, go hit the club on Friday night and try to get you some, but this is work and you need to treat it as work. You need to be a professional. And, you know, also what Avery and Vinny said as well is just be unapologetically you, right? Because that's ultimately what you're selling at the end of the day is you, right? Because everyone's having sex, but what makes your sex different is you. So be yourself, be you, and, you know, take this seriously.
I love that. That's so true. You know, it's almost an insult sometimes to me when people don't take the seriousness of how hard it is to maintain and get in the industry. They're like, oh, you know, I like making decisions, so I could be a lawyer. It's not like that.
Right.
You know, like, I like sex, so I'm just going to do porn. There's so much paperwork, research. I love that how many of you have emphasized research, because that's really what I think separates you know, people that don't end up making it or making bad decisions for themselves, and people like yourselves that, despite all of the, you know, things that may come up that are unpredictable, you're still able to roll with the punches and make a business out of this. So yeah, that's awesome. So as we kind of like come to a close, one of the things I'm really interested in is what you see for your career trajectory. What are you looking forward to? What things are you still hoping to achieve and accomplish? What do you see for yourself coming up? Anyone could start.
You know, I'll go first. So pretty much this first year I've been independent and I've self-produced all my own content and all that stuff. But just a couple of weeks ago, I recently signed with OC Modeling. So so the future of my career is I'm hoping to start shooting with some more major studios and directors and stuff like that. And honestly, I would love to, you know, even be nominated for an award during award season one year or something like that. So I think that's my short-term goal, is hopefully in the next year or two, I can get some good work under my belt and hopefully, you know, on a red carpet one day. Like,
awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, anyone else? What are you looking forward to for your career trajectory?
Go ahead, sweetie.
Oh, go ahead, Avery.
I'm just looking forward to, you know, working with more of the companies that I've been, you know, a big fan of. And I want to, hopefully within the next few months, I want to go to Prague and shoot in Europe and make that happen. You know, be an international host. So we'll see.
Wide open. Love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, and just you know, increase my brand and increase my name and just keep, you know, keep doing what I'm doing.
Sweet. Vinny?
For myself, I feel I've been reasonably successful in the independent creator space. Work with big names. I've had a couple of award nominations. I've been very fortunate to work for one studio so far, and that's Evolve Fights here in Vegas. And I love working for them. But that my trajectory is I'm trying to work for more studios. I'm trying to find that first agency that because I see now agencies are starting to represent BBW models. I want to try to find the same for BHM. And my thing is, and this is where I feel I've set myself apart from the BHMs that come before me, because when I've tried to do this stuff, those BHMs will reach out to me and tell me not to waste my time. But I message these studios. I talk to people. A closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Right.
So I'm never going to get hired by these other studios. I'm never going to find representations if I just sit here and keep my mouth shut. And this is what I sort of talked to before we started the stream here, Lotus. Is why I wanted to do this, why I've been featured in Vice and actually have another article coming out later this year in Vice is my work as Santa Claus, is I just put me and my work in front of eyeballs other than my reach on Twitter.
Yes.
And so this is going to be on YouTube. I was mentioned in an interview by Laura Jensen that's going to be on Amazon. And it's doing those things, reaching out to those people and those companies and making those connections, so I can take BHM talent into the mainstream and out of just the independent content creation.
I really love that. And I'm glad that you brought that back up because that was actually part of my strategy as a new person. I was always independent. I hadn't gotten signed by any agency. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do to put myself in front of more eyes since I don't have someone putting me in front of more eyes? And it was just those kind of tactics that you described, Vinny, taking magazine interviews and articles, writing, YouTube interviews, podcast interviews, other things that got my name and brand and recognition out there. So yes, Miss Zarella, what do you see for yourself in the future?
Well, for me, I have a lot of goals. And I don't know when those goals will be achieved, but I'm hoping, like, for me, I'm always trying to prove people wrong because of what issues I have to deal with. Like, me even getting into the industry itself was a whole big issue, and it shouldn't have been that big of an issue because it's just skin. But, like, you know what I mean? You know what I had to go through,
I
and
feel
I'm still dealing with it, but since I have an agency that actually believes in me, like they told me, "Oh, I believe in you." And for me to actually finally get that for myself and actually start getting work, it's been helping me get the treatment that I've been needing the whole time. And so for me to finally get this for myself is a huge achievement in its own. So I'm really hoping to just keep on progressing and proving people wrong because, like, I for me and myself, I almost let that get to me. But I was like, I'm not gonna let that get to me. Like, after getting compliments of being told, like, oh, you can be a good performer, I've taken that in and I haven't been letting haters get to me. And I almost quit because I was like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I just can't do it. But then once I got signed with, my agency, it gave me the hope that I needed again to keep going. So I'm really hoping in the future it's all just golden glory because that's what I want for myself. I want to be at the top. That's what I want.
love hearing how self-motivated you are, Zarella, because I do happen to know a little bit about her trajectory and how difficult it's been. And that's why I felt it was really valuable to have include her in this panel because it can be tough out there and people can get really discouraged in the beginning. But myself included, I'm glad to hear how so many of you have taken your path and really made it your own, even though maybe at first it was more of like the path that you thought you should have taken, and now you know exactly who you are as a performer. You're putting that out there. People are, receiving it happily with I don't know, open hands on genitals. So where can your fans and followers find you so they know how to keep up with you and find your sexy sauce? Oh, before I say that, this was one thing that was going in my mind is actually what is everyone's favorite type of scene to shoot? And what type of scene do you hope to shoot that you haven't yet?
I'll go. My favorite types of scenes to shoot are anything hardcore with at least like 3 or 4 people. Like, I don't know. I like DPs, I like gangbangs, like I like to do Olympic level fucking.
Hey, that's why you're here.
I've got a scene called Hotel Sex Olympics. I know what you're talking about.
Hey.
Right, shit. I really one day I want to just like get my favorite dudes in porn and like be able to pay them their rates and be like, all right, I want a gangbang of like all my favorite male talents, just gangbang me out for my birthday or something.
That's a achievable dream. Okay, and anyone else favorite position or not position? Fuck that. Favorite scene that you perform, type of scene, and what type of scene you hope to perform still.
For myself, and this is not only what I enjoy filming the most, but what seems to sell best with my fans is scripted content. Where it's not necessarily heavily scripted, but I have some sort of story behind what's going on camera. It doesn't necessarily have to be dialogue, but just having that setup and having that story. I have the most fun with it. It helps me to be creative.
Yeah.
In terms of what I want to do, obviously, filming for some of the big studios is one of them. But for like the type of scene,
Yeah.
um, I kind of did it halfway this past year. I've been wanting to do a reverse gangbang, and was able to get 3 of my friends together for that this past year in April, my birthday. But that's what I want to do. I guess just everyone wants to do gangbangs.
We just want to be surrounded.
Yeah. We just want to be surrounded, and
people.
So that yeah. So and it's the same thing. I want to get to that point where I can just go to, whoever I'd like, and hey, I can pay all you your rates. Come here, do this. Get 5, 6, 7 people together to do that. Kind of make a big production out of that. So that's. So I kind of did the halfway this year, but I'm going to take it to the next level. Is the goal I have right now.
Sweet. All right, Leo and Zarella, favorite types of scene and scene you still hope to shoot?
I'm gonna go the opposite direction from Vinny and Avery in the sense that I prefer to shoot more things that are kind of intimate and romantic. I feel like a lot of people, when you ask them what their favorite type of porn is, they always answer amateur. And the reason they like the amateur is because it feels like there's a connection between the talent, like the people on the scene, right? Yeah. So in my own productions and so forth, I try to focus on the intimacy, like kind of an amateur feel, but with more professional quality lighting and filming, right? Because half the time when you're watching the amateur stuff, it's like you can see there's passion between the two, but you also see a shaky cam and dark lighting that has really bad, like that's like 30 seconds of the girl's face, and then like the next 5 minutes is just a close-up of penal, vaginal, like pounding, right?
Or when the camera kind of falls just into like the cushions, and you're like, I know something's happening. Where is it?
So yeah, I what I really like is to try to catch the intimacy of the scene, but with good lighting and so forth. So that's kind of what I enjoy watching, and that's also what I enjoy performing and doing. So
love it. Love it. Is there anything that you still haven't done that you hope to do?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff I haven't done on camera that I would like to eventually capture on camera, but I think in my real life, I've done pretty much what I've wanted to do. So I just haven't recorded it and shared it with the world yet.
So you're very experienced. You just need to bring those experiences out on film. Love it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool. And Miss Zarella?
Well, honestly, since I'm so I still feel like I'm so new and so fresh, and I'm always learning about something new that's happening. So I really can't say oh, I have this to that I want to do, because there's so many. I love being surrounded by people and pleasing. I am a pleaser than I am a receiver. I love pleasing, so I would love to have I guess a scene where I just have as much people as I can personally handle, and see what I can do within that scene. See my limitations, and just because I love my thing is I want to try everything in this industry at least once. I want to try everything at least once, because I want to experience what I can handle and what I can't handle. I've realized that I can handle some hardcore stuff, which back then I would have looked at myself like there's no way I could do that. And then it happens and I'm like, I can
hold growth.
Look at me go. You know what I'm saying? So it's
so what I'm hearing is you enjoy being kind of a service slut, which we really love that here. And I'm happy to hear that you're discovering this about yourself. And I think we all enjoy that, just energy we get from other bodies. And, I'm also a gangbang and orgy lover too. So, hey, I'm happy I'm in same company. So yeah, now we can give everybody where they can find your work, and we can wrap it on it.
You can find me on Twitter at Zarella Skies, ZerelllaSkies, double S's for Instagram, and same name for my OnlyFans, because I am only on OnlyFans unless you buy directly.
Boom. And then Avery.
So you can find me on Twitter, AveryJaneXO, or Instagram, AveryJaneX. You can find me on OnlyFans, ManyVids, My own personal website, allofAveryJane.com. You can find me on the Hub. You can find me on X videos. Just search Avery Jane. You're gonna get a lot of baby pictures and then me.
Why?
Everyone names their kid that apparently.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
I search my
yeah.
name all the time for hashtags, and it's either
I
like
see.
adorable, precious baby pictures, and then like a picture of me in stripper heels, and I'm like, okay.
You're just mixing up the algorithm, breaking it up a little.
Restoring order.
All right. And Leo and Vinny, where can people find you at?
I'm just gonna make it easy for everyone. You can just search me on the Hub, search for Leo Vice. My videos, my profile pops up, and you should find the rest of my stuff from there. Really, so
Like one of like 2 active Asian male performers that I
pretty
know
much,
of.
right?
So
It's like me and David Lee right now,
hard to
so you
find.
know,
Right.
we're not hard to find.
Right.
And for me, of course, I had to pick the uncommon spelling of both my names, but Vinnie O'Neill, Vinnie, and O'Neill, Oneill. Although don't use the apostrophe because that's something I learned after I started doing this, that websites don't like the apostrophe in the name. But yeah, so Vinnie O'Neill on Pornhub and Vinnie O'Neill XXX on Twitter, OnlyFans, and really the Twitter, because like I have all my links on my Twitter and everything. So probably the easiest way to find me.
Twitter, our last bastion of freedom for now. So
For now.
see you all there. And everybody, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to talk with us and share your experiences. And I just hope to see more of you throughout the years.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.